Enjoy the green hair while you can, you guys, because it will not last for much longer. I returned some books to the library today. I returned A Love Discovered because I already finished that. I'm pretty sure I've made a clip about my thoughts about that book. And then I also returned the book club book, which was Maisie Dobbs. I didn't pick up the new book club book because my lady wasn't there. But I was gonna try to see if I could download it on Libby, um, or maybe Kindle has it for free. I don't know. I picked up this. I had this on hold. So if you've been following me on Goodreads, because I forgot what today is. Today is the 27th, but I started this. I started this book either yesterday or the day before. So either the 25th or the 26th. When I went to return my books, I picked up this. I had this book on hold. It's Get a Life, Chloe Brown. If you guys don't know, this is the first book in the trilogy of the Brown sisters. I was introduced with this trilogy by reading the last book first. So this is the last book I'm reading. It's also the first book of the series. I promise you, I unintentionally read these backwards. When I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown, I did not realize it was part of a trilogy. But it's a standalone series, so you really don't need to um, read the other books before each other, like in order. Now, when you get to the last book, it does mention um, characters or relationships from previous books, but you already know that these relationships are going to work out by the covers and the titles of the book. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty obvious. You know, like by the end they're going to end up together, but the as the series continues, it's not like it gives away how the previous books ended, if that makes sense. Like they don't give away how those relationships came to fruition. So far it's good. I mean, it's giving the same vibe as the other two books, which I expected because the other two books come after this one. But yeah, it's really cute. I mean, I knew I would enjoy it. Like I like the Brown Sisters trilogy. They're quite spicy. They're not the spiciest things I've read, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. However, I'm sure it's going to get into the spice. It's nowhere near that. I mean, I'm only on page 44. So it's nowhere near the part where it's going to get spicy, but she already mentions her desire for a little spice, if you know what I mean. Just a little spice. So I don't know if you can hear that in the background. If you hear like movement in the background, it's the water filter slash ice maker. But yeah, what else am I reading? I'm pretty sure that's not the only thing I'm reading. Let me go on my Goodreads. I know I recently finished reading, I believe, two books. I finished another book by Talia Hibbert called The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco. I had started that a couple of months ago and I didn't finish it because I was getting into the heat of my physical copy books and I kind of forgot about all the books that I had downloaded on my Kindle. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so I finished listening to Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Joya Goffney. I was about to mispronounce it. Wait. Goodreads is tripping and I'm not here for it. Hold on one second because I want to check what it looks like on my phone. Okay, we're back. I literally probably just took the last 10 minutes to figure out that I'm going crazy. I thought that when I finished this audiobook on Thursday that I marked it as finished. I also thought that I also wrote a review, but according to the app on my phone and goodreads.com on my laptop, none of those things happened. So I couldn't not put my review in because I really enjoyed that book. I rated that book a 5 stars, and I'm pretty sure that is the only 5-star rating I've given this year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh no. I also gave The Black Joy Project. I'm gonna change it to 4 stars simply because if I give something a 5 stars, I want to read it again, and I don't necessarily want to read that book again. Yeah. So, anyways, so I finished Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. I also finished The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco, like I said, and then I also finished Oye. And then I also read a novella called The Mystery of the Red Planet. Child, that was the first 2-star rating I gave all this year. Let me see. Yes. By so far, Most of my books, oh no, that's the second 2-star rating I've given this year. I also gave 2 parts sugar, 1 part murder 2 stars, just because it was like, it was lacking. It was lacking. And then this novella, I know there are good novellas out there, okay? I, if you know me, you know that 99% of the media I watch is YouTube. 99%. And then a good 60% is booktubers. Then another good 30% is van lifers or some sort of car dwelling people, vehicle dwelling people. And then the last 10% is just people who be living outside or be living their life outside, whether that's outside in nature or outside. You feel me? So that's the breakdown of what I be watching. And I say that to say that I've watched enough booktubers to know that there are good novellas out there. And these are booktubers with a different scope of reading. Some like romance, some like sci-fi, some like history or whatever it is. I know there's good novellas out there that are under 100 pages long. I say all that to say this was by far the worst 75 pages I've read in my entire life. By far. I was so close to not finishing it. And the only reason why I finished it was like, Samaya, come on. It's 75 pages. You can get through 75 pages. But I'm trying not to exaggerate, but when I think about how I felt while reading it, it was kind of painful. Not like the type of pain that's like, oh my gosh. It was the type of pain that's like, there's like a dull ache that is irritating me. And if I had a very low pain tolerance, I'd be rolling on the floor. Yeah. Take that with what you will. It's called Mystery of the Red Planet by Ellen Alexander. It's a co-authored book. It's Ellen Alexander and somebody else's name that's Alexander or something like that. I really did not like it. And it's crazy because I was like, am I going crazy? Because when I am, to each his own. This is why everybody has their own flavor, because there's things that I rate 4 or 5 stars that people are like, that's a 1. And I say that to say, I gave this thing a 2 stars. How about on Goodreads? It has an overall 4.3 star rating. Let me see if I'm reading this correctly. Oh, no, sorry. Not that high, but still a pretty high rating. It has an overall 3.93 star rating. Guess what percentage of that is 5 stars? 35%. Then 28 is 4, 28 is 3, and I'm a part of the small 7%. Funny enough, nobody has rated this 1 star, which is quite interesting to me. I'm saying this to say I gave it 2 stars. We're moving on. So, again, like I said, every book, at least for this year, every book that I've read this year, I've been putting a review on Goodreads. I put a rating and I put a review. Some things have short ratings. Some things have short reviews. Some things have long reviews. Do with that what you will. The books that I've read in the month of July, in order from least to most recent, right? That's how you say that. The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. A Love Discovered by Tracy Peterson. Mystery of the Red Planet by Ellen Alexander. Oye, or Oy, still don't know how to pronounce it, by Melissa Mogollon. Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Joya Goffney, and The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco by Talia Hibbert. So before I move on from this recently read book review kind of stitch, whatever you call it, The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco, honey, that was spicy. And I knew that Talia liked to get into her spice because, like I said, I've read the other 2 books from the Brown Sisters trilogy, but this really, I'm just saying, there was moments that I was trying to read it at work and I had to put it down because I was just like, whew, not the time or the place. Maybe the time because, I can read a book at any time of the day, but not the place. Not the place. However, did I finish this book while at work? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But it wasn't that bad. Towards the end, it wasn't that bad. But Talia, she likes to get in her spice, but she says it in her blurb anyway. Talia Hibber is a black British author who lives in a bedroom full of books. Supposedly, there is a world beyond that room, but she has yet to drum up enough interest to investigate. She writes sexy, diverse romance because she believes that people of marginalized identities need honest and positive representation. Her interests include beauty, junk food, and unnecessary sarcasm. So I say all that to say, Talia told the people she, she gonna write spice. She called it sexy, but it's still spice. You feel me? So I don't know where I'm getting all this energy from. Honestly, it's 22:22 and I need to take my behind the bed, but I really just really want to. I'm not gonna lie. My brain is all over the place. I'm not gonna lie. I was hearing like it was most likely a vehicle passing by with music. And you know what came into my head? You know that meme? The audio is a car passing by and they're playing like upbeat Latin music. I'm gonna put it here. But that's what that reminded me of because I was definitely like following the sound. Anyways, the fake boyfriend fiasco was good. There were certain parts I was like, not really my vibe. I could do without that. But, you know, different strokes for different folks. I'm going to end this ramble here. It's almost 11 o'clock and it's past my bedtime. I'll see y'all in the next one. Good morning, lovely people. I most likely look and sound as crusty as I feel. The baby has been fed, and right now I'm about to make us some eggs. Well, for me and the baby. Husband doesn't do eggs. You want eggs, buddy? Say yes, please, mommy. Say yes, please, mommy. Bugger, you want eggs? You want to eat eggs? You want to eat eggs? Say yes, mommy. Say yes, mama. Huh? Okay, so hello. It is now, what time is it? It is now 4:20. I didn't expect myself to sleep throughout the entire 4 hours because I did get sleep last night and you know I slept good this morning, but I guess that's what my body needed because even when I woke up for the 4 o'clock alarm, like you would think I've been taking melatonin and magnesium. I don't know. Maybe it's all this exercise I've been doing that my body is just like, because it used to be hard for me to fall asleep, like no lie. Anyways, I don't want to sit here and ramble too long. I'm about to get something to eat. It looks like Said made dinner, so I'm debating whether or not I want to take any to work with me. I don't always take food to work with me, but when I do, it prevents me from um, like getting snacks from work, and that's what I don't want to do because all the snacks are unhealthy. So, and not only that, I brought fish to work last time, and I didn't think it would be that fishy because it was salmon. But I feel like it's still. I feel like after I heated it up, I feel like it was still giving fish, and so yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and get something to eat. so that I'm full before going to work. If I do take something, I don't know, maybe I'll bring a smoothie for me to drink while I'm there. I'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah. Had braids, and I've had so much fun with them. I've had different color braids. It's tea tree oil. So I'm gonna let that stay in for a few. When I'm in sunshine, you know how different it is, because I know the end.
Alright guys, so now that we know a little bit more about Bloity Power Station, if you are an adventurer...
Before I'll say it again, I most likely look as crusty as I sound in the field. Today is Tuesday. I worked last night and got off this morning. So I'll be going back to work again this evening, and then I'll be off for Wednesday and Thursday. And then I go back to work Friday nights, and then Saturday night, and then Sunday night. So right now I'm about to make myself a smoothie. I'm very hungry, but that's literally all I want is a smoothie. Something cold, sweet, and refreshing. So that is what I'm going to make. I'm just gonna drink this out of here with a straw. Looking like it's a smoothie bowl, which is fine by me. And blessed to get frozen fruit that's actually sweet. Like it's actually like sweet and well ripened. So my husband is working out and he's listening to Dragon Ball Durag. And I always give him crap for it every time he listens to that song, because I know that when he was introduced to that song through me, and when he heard it for the first time, he was like, this song is so corny. And I remember every time I tried to give him crap for it, he was like, well, it's catchy. It's still corny, but it's catchy. So. Oh, not me about to make a mess. It's my smoothie bowl with honey on top. Yeah, sometimes I put, like I said, I'll put frozen spinach. If we haven't, sometimes we put, not the honey looking like there's cheese in here, honey pole. But yeah, sometimes we'll put yogurt in it. And you, like, if we put yogurt in it, that's usually where the sweetness comes from. And that's probably why I forgot to put sweetener, because I was assuming we had yogurt. But yeah, yogurt, spinach, just like whatever, really. But usually our smoothies are pretty basic with like, Said does, I don't think Said normally puts the additives I put in there, like the chia seeds and the flax meal and the hemp seeds and stuff like that. I like to do that for extra protein. And also just extra nutrients and omega-3s and all that good stuff. And fiber, especially those flax seeds. Fiber. I'm gonna enjoy this smoothie bowl and also keep editing. know what I mean? Like, it's like no matter what you say, somebody's going to find the thing. Okay, it's rough in these streets. Hey guys, you know, I probably have so many videos where I'm like, I'm back. But I'm back. Anyways, I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm currently in the middle of The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I'm really liking this book. According to Goodreads, I'm 34% of the way through. I just finished with chapter 8, and it is so cute. It really jumps right in. Like, it really gets to the meat and potatoes right away, and there's still more to come. Like, I'm not even halfway through yet, and you already get over the first part of the book that is referring to the namesake of the book, if that makes any sense, you know? So I'm really excited to continue reading. And yeah, I recently, before this book, even though I haven't been on here, I have been reading a lot. There will be periods of times where it takes me almost a month to finish a book, just because life be lifing, you know. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a full-time working individual. Life be lifing, okay? And to be fair, I just don't always want to sit down and read a book. Sometimes I just want to be a vegetable and sit in front of the TV. And especially like if I get into a new K-drama or some other type of series that grasps my attention, or which is usually just the K-drama or an anime, or sometimes I just be wanting to watch YouTube, because that's mainly what I watch anyway. So, but the last 2 books, I say that to say, if you follow me on Goodreads, you will see that I am reading. I am trying to make my goal of reading 52 books this year. I think right now I've read 39 books, if I'm not incorrect. And the 2 most recent books I read were Crying in H Mark by Michelle Zauner. So remember, I was saying there will be times where it takes me a month to finish a book. Sometimes it'll take me only 2 days to finish a book, and there are 2 examples right here. So I'm pretty sure this took me like 3 weeks to finish. And again, like I said, life was lifing. Not only that, like, it's like I didn't have time to read, and when I did have time to read, it's just I preferred to do something else, you know. And also, this book wasn't the most like lighthearted. I was interested in it, and I did keep reading it. Like, I was interested in the story. However, it is a memoir, and it's a memoir of her dead mom. So, and like, that's like a very crude way to put it. However, it is about her mom who passed, and it's about their relationship and her journey, and kind of her finding herself through the life and death of her mom, and connecting with family members from her home country. And it's just it's a good read. I definitely recommend it. I'm pretty sure I rated this 4 stars. And then the next book I read was Take a Hint by Dani Brown. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't record it, but this is a trilogy by This is a trilogy by Talia Hibbert, or Talia Hibbert. I'm not sure how she pronounces her name, but I've read the last book in this series, and then this is the second book in the series. And yes, I am reading it backwards, but I also would like to read the first book in the series, which is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. And so these books, they're really cute. They're really easy, fun reads. They're perfect for like how I finished a heavier read like this. They're perfect for reading after that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm noticing how crinkly this book is, and I'm hoping that this looked like this when I picked it up, because it looks kind of rough. But yeah, so I enjoyed these 2 reads. Like I said, I finished both of them. What I'm gonna do is read some more of this book. I started this either yesterday or the day before, so hopefully I can get it done today or tomorrow, so that I can catch up with my goal of wanting to read 52 books this year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I finish this by the end of this week, I will be back on track. So, oh, another thing to point out is that I've been a part of, like, vaguely a part of this book club at my used to be local library, and yes, it's 25 minutes away from where I live now. However, I'm a creature of habit. I know this library. I'm like, the person that asked me to join the book club, like, she specifically works at that library, so it's just comfortable. And so I know that if I want to go there, I make sure to go there after work, instead of like going home and then having to get comfortable and then go there and all that good stuff. So, but we were supposed to meet about this, and I missed the meeting because my mom was in town, and that was my priority because I wanted to spend time with her. But even when I don't make the meetings at the end of the month that we're supposed to read the book, I do make sure to actually read the book. And this is only the 3rd book that I've been in what am I trying to say? I've only been in the book club for 3 months now, so this is only the 3rd book that has been like given to us. But I don't think I ever was able to finish the 1st book. To be honest with you, I don't even remember what the 1st book was. I know the book before this was Black Cake, and I really enjoyed Black Cake. I honestly can't remember what the 1st book was. Oh, something Chinatown. Something Chinatown. Because technically this is like the international book club, so the books are always by marginalized authors, like BIPOC authors. But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop blabbering because it's been 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes I could have caught a chunk out of this book. So I'm gonna keep on reading Miss Guillory here, and I'll let you guys know how I feel. Here we are. It is July 2nd, and I am currently nearly halfway through with The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. This book is just, I'm really loving this book so far. It's in the past couple of romance books that I've read, I've never thought that I would be someone who would say, oh, this has a little bit too much spice, you know what I mean? Even for something, and it's probably something that people don't consider to have a lot of spice. And books like that would be both the only 2 out of the 3 of the trilogy by Talia Hibbert, which was, I just finished reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and then the first one I read before that is the last part of the trilogy, which is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And those had some pretty spicy scenes. Like, you get into detail. It's not just like the surface, like, you definitely get into detail, you know? So, but this, it's like, you know what they're getting into, like, you know they're doing the nasty, but it doesn't give a lot of detail, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to explain it. If you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about, how it gives you the feels of like, ooh, they're about to get into this, but it almost is from the vibe of a like TV rated spicy TV show. You know what I mean? Like, imagine watching a TV show where these people are hot for each other, and they show you like in the heat of starting of the moment where they're kissing and they're petting and they're taking their clothes off and everything, but they're not showing you all the nitty-gritty, you know? Like, because it's on public television, you know, and it's during the daylight hours, you know. So that's the vibe that this book gives, and I just, I'm really loving it. There was a quote I read earlier. I think I might start tabbing books. Um, Something about me is that I've always been averse to doing things that I know are a trend. Um, which you might be thinking, oh, that's ironic because you're sharing about books on YouTube and that seems to be a trend right now. However, I've always loved reading. Like, ask anybody who's known me since a kid, ask my mom, ask my family, ask my husband's family. Like, even when I go out to hang with them in the country, like, if it's a moment in time where everybody's doing their own thing and I'm in my own space, like, I'm going to read, you know? So, and reading is something where it's like, it should always be a trend. You know what I mean? People should always love to read. And no, it doesn't always have to be physical books or whatever have you. But, anyways, coming back from that rabbit hole, climbing out of that rabbit hole, I made that statement because why did I make that statement? I'm usually averse to things that are a trend, right? And wait, why was I talking about that? What is a trend that I'm kind of following right now or that I want to follow? Wow, that's sad. I really can't remember. Um, that's what happens when I go down rabbit holes. I can't remember where the hole started. um, Bottom line, I'm really enjoying this book. I got this book used from Second and Charles, and I'm really glad I picked it up. I'm really enjoying this book. This is the first book of mine, like that I own, that I've read in a long time. I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I'm renting out. Oh, I'm not renting out. I'm renting out my house, but my husband and myself and my son are renting my mom's place because she lives elsewhere at the moment. Right now, we're enjoying having more space because it was a win-win. You came just in time. Baby boy was getting bigger, and we needed more space as a family, and and it was the perfect time. I feel like this is just going to be a chatty vlog, like about books, catching up. Um, yeah, so basically, new home, same us, same us, but different us because you're never the same person you were yesterday. I had to return the other book club book, which was Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. That book was so good. I already talked about it in the last clip, so I won't go too much into it, but if you're into nonfiction and you want to dabble in memoirs, I felt for me that was a really good introduction to reading memoirs. I don't think I've ever read a memoir before. Maybe in high school or middle school in like honors English, but I don't remember. So I yeah, it's a really good book. And as someone who cherishes her mother and often gets sad and sometimes not in the healthiest way spirals when thinking about what life would be like if I was supposed to just lose her, like now, or even if not now, just when the time comes that I lose her, because that's just the sad truth is that you live and you die. You don't know when a day will be your last. So I really resonated with that book. Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I The goal was 3 books. The goal was 3 books, including yes, including the book club book. It was supposed to be 3 books total, especially considering that it took me 3 weeks to finish Crying in H Mart. Anyways, I'm not gonna get too in depth into these books because I'm really just gonna share like a quick synopsis and then what made me gravitate towards them. And something that I'm realizing is that I'm in my kind of, kind of, I feel like I'm really in my realistic fiction slash nonfiction era. Before I read Crying in H Mart, the book that came before that in the international book club that I'm a part of was Black Cake. That book was so good. And the lady who runs the book club, I'm gonna call her A. She was asking me when she saw me today, she was like, so now that you've read Crying in H Mart, how do you feel about it compared to Black Cake? Because they're both pretty heavy books. And I was telling her, I was like, you know what? I love them both. But something I realized is that this book made me cry Black cake didn't make me cry, but black cake spoke to me because my people are from the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Like my nana, talking about my mom's side, my nana's from Trinidad and my papa is from Antigua, and so I grew up like from a young baby. Papa was feeding me like um, pepper pot and mash up and dukana and like the softer foods like fungi like and dumpling. Like I grew up eating that stuff, and then obviously as you get older, you can have the saltfish and you can have what else am I thinking of? Oxtail. Or you can have stewed chicken or um, my nana's because or my nana's I guess how do I call it? My step grandfather, he is from Jamaica. So he would whenever he would visit home, he would bring me back breadfruit. He taught me how to make a different kind of dumpling, you know what I mean? Like he would make us ackee and saltfish. My nana, oh gosh, she does not like to cook. She said she only cooked when she was a wife and a mom because that was her duty at the time. She does not like to cook. So her sisters cook and give her food, but she does not cook. But they always cook so much she never has to worry about. She just goes to work. Well, she recently retired, but she would just go to work, come home, and her food is already ready. But something that she would cook for me, like in terms of like cultural, her red herring, so good. Anyways, this is going to be such a chatty vlog, but this is my mountain of books. So let's try to get through this. First book is Macy Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. Macy Dobbs got her start as a maid in an aristocratic London household when she was 13. Her employer, suffragette Lady Rowan Compton, soon became her patron, taking the remarkably bright youngster under her wing. Lady Rowan's friend Maurice Blanche, often retained as an investigator by the European elite, recognized Maisie's intuitive gifts and helped her earn admission to the prestigious Girton College in Cambridge, where Maisie planned to complete her education. The outbreak of war changed everything. Maisie trained as a nurse, then left for France to serve at the front, where she found and lost an important part of herself. 10 years after the armistice in the spring of 1929, Maisie sets out on her own as a private investigator who has learned that coincidences are meaningful and truth elusive. Her very first case involves suspected infidelity but reveals something different. In the aftermath of the Great War, a former officer has founded a working farm known as the Retreat that acts as a convalescent refuge for ex-soldiers too shattered to resume normal life. When fate brings Maisie a second case involving the Retreat, she must finally confront the ghost that has haunted her for over a decade. Okay. This poor baby. He knows I'm home and he just wants to spend time with me. So I'm going to go ahead and hurry up and finish this haul. I can go ahead and cuddle with him. My big boy. It is crazy being a mom. To all the moms out there, wild. This is the book club book. Okay, now let's get into the books that I checked out that were necessary but not necessary, but books are always necessary, right? So here we have The Bewildered Bride by Vanessa Riley. I had to pick this up, okay? Like, I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but I love the Bridgerton series. I remember when it first came out, I didn't even realize that it was like a big thing. I didn't know until recently. And by now, by the time you're watching this, like the third season has already been out for like a month probably, and only recently did I know that it was from an actual book series. Yes, I know I'm a dunce because I'm pretty sure they put that in the beginning credits when you start watching each episode, like based on the series by, I forgot what her name is, Julia Quinn, I believe her name is. Yeah. But I had to pick this up because it's a Black girl and she's in a princess dress and it's during that time period and there's a prince and yeah, yeah, I'm excited to read this. Like I said, I love Bridgerton, and so I immediately saw this and was like, give me those vibes, but with more people that look like me, you know. Excited to get into this. And the reason why I picked that up is, I mean, I already said it, Bridgerton, chocolate Bridgerton. Um, this book is called Not the Plan, and this is by de Cadenet. Gia de Cadenet. Um, and it's looking like a romance. It's sounding like a romance. It's really cute. I picked this up because look how thin this is compared to The Bewildered Bride. Look how thin. Like, I and how many pages is this? Child, it's barely 300 pages. Without acknowledgments, it's 303 pages, and I always read acknowledgments whether they're in the beginning or the end of the book. So I mean, the wording is kind of small, but I've literally read books that are smaller. Like the book that I read, Modern Divination, that book was as thick as The Bewildered Bride, and the words were smaller than this book. So do with that what at least the copy I had. So that means that if it was a large text copy, them 400 something pages would probably be 600 something pages. But I mean, I really enjoyed that book too. So, but yeah, this looks like a very quick and easy read. I feel like this is gonna give me the and like giggles, like how I feel about the wedding date. So, really excited to read this. The third book we have here is A Daughter of Fair Verona. I'm so excited about this book. Basically, quick synopsis is that this is from the perspective of a daughter of Romeo and Juliet. So basically, she's like, yeah, you know how they tell that story about Romeo and Juliet and how it ends up tragically? Turns out they're actually still alive, and they're the parents of 7 children, of which I think she says she's the youngest or whatever, but it's from her perspective, and she's not into romance like her parents are. Like she feels like it's just been played up for nothing, and so and she yeah, so she ends up, obviously it's probably going to end with her falling in love with somebody, but it's like a cynical take on the romance. And I think it's so cool because I read Romeo and Juliet in middle school in my honor, I mean, not my honors, in my AP English class, and I loved it. Like, I was, I was the person that we had an assignment where we had to memorize the preamble to Romeo and Juliet. For whatever reason, maybe it's because in church I had recited monologues before, like had memorized whole things and recited monologues before. And you know, that was something I was used to, but the assignment was to write it down. I thought we were supposed to recite it. Child, I was so ready that day. When I tell you I was so ready, I was like, in fair Verona, we lay our scene where 2 star-crossed lovers laid down their life. Like, I even want to rememorize it now. You know what I mean? Like, so I was so excited when I saw this. And it's yellow. If you don't know, now you know my favorite color is yellow. My favorite flowers are sunflower. And yeah, I'm just so excited to read this. Then we have The Dead Take the A Train, because this is based in New York City. If you don't know, now you know, you know. I am from New Jersey, but I do claim New York City because growing up, I was living in both New York City and New Jersey. My mom is from New York City, so like those are my stomping grounds. Like that's where my home church is. That's where I spent a good chunk of my life living, especially when my mom was deployed. But yeah, so this is based in New York City. It's basically about, I'm pretty sure maybe she's a witch. I don't know. She's like battling evil. Like if there's a demon that needs to be exorcised, she gets rid of it, and this, that, and the third. But then I don't know if like the magic starts to take over her or something. This is definitely out of my comfort zone. I'm hoping I don't DNF this book because I'm also trying to do that where if I start a book, I don't DNF it. But usually when I pick up books, I try to pick up something that is like slightly out of my comfort zone and see how it fits with me. So she has these magical abilities or whatever, but then her friend asks for help and she's never helped a friend before, but it says that now keeping Julie safe is the most important thing. I mean, not Julie. What's her friend's name? Sarah. So and apparently something goes downhill. So I'm excited for that. What really caught me was this cover art. Then we have, oh, sorry, I didn't say who this was by. This is by Cassandra Kaw and Richard Kadri. The Dead Take the A Train. Tracy Peterson's A Love Discovered. Now, when I saw this, it was giving me, there was this Netflix show that I'm probably going to rewatch now that I'm thinking about it, but I was obsessed with it. It was basically about this lady, and it was like old colonial times kind of, but this woman, she's an older lady, and she was from like this uppity town, uppity city, and she just finished school to become a teacher, and she goes to this small town, like this small country, I don't know if it's Midwestern or a Western town, and she ends up falling in love with the sheriff, like the guy who's the sheriff, but it's like a long drawn out falling in love situation. It's during that time period where it's like, oh, if ladies wear pants. I don't think there's any black people in that show, to be honest. Like they really try to paint it as that time period. Not with the oppression part, but with the lack of visuals of chocolate people part. But it's a really good show. I really enjoyed it. It gives me it was also during the same time where I was like obsessed with watching Anne of Green Gables. I mean, no, sorry, that's the name of the book series. The series on Netflix was called Anne with an E, and I'm pretty sure I finished out that series. Like, because I remember the last season, she was like older and she was going off to like boarding school or like finishing school or whatever, and she was like cute and she was actually falling in love with boys or whatever. But yeah, so this, when I saw the cover of this, it immediately made me think of that show. And when I read this, I'm probably going to want to watch that show over. She goes west, she goes to the town of Cheyenne, and she ends up needing to marry somebody because her father died, and she has a little sister that she'll lose because she has no man to like support her because it's that type of time. And on the same hand, in this town, this guy, he's like running for sheriff or something, or he's running for something in the town, or he needs to be some pillar of leadership in the town or whatever. He's a recent widower. And so basically he's like, well, I need a wife because people need to see me as like being able to establish law and order and, having my ish together or whatever. And then she's like, well, I need a husband because I need my little sister with me and they'll take her away because I don't have like a husband of my own and a home of my own to take care of her in. And so it's probably going to end up that they fall in love or whatever, but there's going to be so much more to the story around that. So I'm really excited to read this too. Now, lastly, finally, probably like an hour later of trying to get through this haul, we have Oye, 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 a novel by Melissa Mogollon. Magalon, Magalon. I don't know. I I'm trying to like find different ways to pronounce this. What is this about? Okay, I think what I remember about this book is that there's a huge hurricane or something coming. These people live in Colombia. They either live in Colombia, not Colombia like a city in the U.S., but Colombia, the country. And I don't know if they live in the country or that they're just of that culture. At the very least, they're of that culture. But the grandma, the Colombian grandma, abuela, if we shall, she doesn't want to leave the house. Like, even though this huge storm or tsunami or volcano, whatever, I forgot what the natural disaster is, something is coming. She's like, I'm not getting up out of this house. I've been here how many years? I'm this many ages old or whatever. And the granddaughter's like, like, and so it turns out that something is going on with the grandmother, and she ends up getting like a health diagnosis that even changes things even further and like shifts the course of their life and everything. And so the granddaughter, is probably going to be a kind of another coming of age story of like just figuring out just whatever relationship she has with her grandmother, like having to navigate that with the health issues and with her grandmother not wanting to leave the house when this huge storm is coming. So I'm excited to read about that because I love reading about things from the perspective of other people's culture. It's so beautiful to me. Um, and I think it's just important for everybody to dabble in a little bit of somebody else's culture. I'm not saying appropriate anything and talk about, where about, speak about, do about things that you don't know about actually. But show appreciation, you know what I mean? Read a book by an author of a different culture, you know what I mean? Like watch a documentary, visit someplace, and don't just be a tourist that does, jet skis and boat rides. There's nothing wrong with that, but like actually do a tour that's going to talk about the people of that place, you know what I mean? Try to find a tour that's by someone, obviously safely, of course. Do your research. Some places you go, you might want to just stick to what the hotel is offering. But a lot of times, I mean, at least when I've traveled in the past, like even though it's something that's offered by the hotel, so it's more safer than finding something on our own, the hotel is still providing us with a tour guide that is a native to that country, to that place. So be cultured. Okay. 7 books, including the book club book that I've retrieved from my dear library. Okay. Today is July 5th. Yesterday was July 4th. And a friend of my husband's invited us over to his house for food and gathering and fireworks, and it was really good. You looking for more Cheetos? These are not real Cheetos. These are the baby tomato and cheese puffs. So calm down. But it's good. Using them teeth. Yeah, I love you. I'm glad I decided to go because it was like last minute. Because on my way from home, like after clocking out, I had texted my husband. I was like, "Do you want me to pick up something to throw on the grill?" Because we have a grill and we don't really need an event to use it. Like we've used it before when we just had stuff to put on the grill. So I was like, "Do you want me to get stuff to put on the grill?" And he sent me the message that T had sent him, like saying, "Hey, we're gonna have a get together, yada 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 yada." So it was cool. It was, it was what it was, right, Bug? You met a lot of babies. There were so many babies. Everybody that was invited had a baby, except for these 2 older ladies. So they already had their babies, but everybody that was like in our age group had a baby, and I was just like, I don't know, it's just so cool seeing what little man will be like in a couple of months. You know what I mean? Because he's going to be a year old in August, which is crazy. I cannot believe that I've been a mother to this little boy for a year already. Or almost, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so crazy. I feel like the months have just been, and life has changed so much. Like, if you know, you know. I'm just so grateful and so blessed. Yes, mama. I'm mama. I'm mama. I love you. You want more Cheetos? Say yes, please. Say yes, please. Say thank you. Say thank you. Crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch. Can you finish that one before you eat this one? Yeah? Oh, you're just going to hold all of them? You just got to have some in your hand, huh? Yeah. Life is good. Okay. I know. Mommy taking too long? Let me put your bib back on. Uh-oh. No. Don't get that. You okay? Oh, don't do that, bud. Mm. But yeah, where was I? Grocery shopping, 4th of July. Um, yeah, the rest of the plan for today, this hubby is out fishing with the same friend that invited us over last night. And so when he comes home, I'm mostly going to go back out because I do want to go to TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Ross. I'm trying to slowly build up my, trying to slowly build up my wardrobe for our cruise that we're going on in September, which is around the corner. It's so crazy how time flies. Like it's honestly, it's honestly scary. Like it gets me emotional. Like it's just, it's really insane how time works. Like, you loving this, bud? Is it good? So I'm so excited. We're going in September, and it's gonna be after my birthday. So, but I already put in time off for my birthday. I really don't want to work on my birthday. Chew your food. Ew, chew all that food in your mouth, man. Where you going? Where you going? Nice to meet you. Say nice to meet you. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. I just wanted to check in, trying to get better about just picking the phone in this case up and just, yeah. So I'll check in most likely when I get little man down for a nap. Don't know how long that's gonna take. He did fall asleep in the car, but it wasn't, and then he was asleep for a good amount of time. You just projectiled something at me. Are you sleepy? Or are you trying to hang with mommy? You said no? No? Where's your ladder? Where's the ladder? Who got your feet? Who got the feet? I love you. You just gonna keep chewing on that same rice grain? Huh? That thing almost disintegrated. Huh? I love you. Big head. You got a big head like your mama. How'd that work out? Okay. Later, y'all. Hey guys, hopefully you can hear me well. I don't have my mic and I'm not trying to make this long anyway. So, I just finished reading A Love Considered. A Love Discovered by Tracy Peterson. I really enjoyed this book. I'd probably give this book a 3. Yeah, I think a 3 seems most fitting. It was an easy read. It wasn't difficult to get into at all. The font is a good size, not too big, not too small. And it was just under 300 pages. It was only, without the extra stuff, it was only 284 pages. So not a long book at all, but I really enjoyed this plot. Basically, this is all stuff that's a part of the blurb. So this young lady, she just lost her father. She has already lost her mother when she was 12 or 13, I believe. And then she lost her stepmother due to childbirth when her sister was born. And then she ended up losing her father in an accident. Now she is just left with her sister, and people are trying to take her sister away, but she has nobody to provide for her. And then on the other hand, you have her best friend's husband, who is now a widower. He lost his wife due to childbirth as well, and lost both her and their son. So they ended up coming to a sort of arrangement, basically saying they would be married in name only, but due to him basically being traumatized by the whole situation with his wife, he basically vowed to himself never to be intimate with a woman ever again, like never to fully truly like love someone, because he took on that responsibility. Though it was not his fault, he took on the responsibility of causing his wife to die and causing his son to not have a life. So all that being said, that's how the story starts, and they end up having to move to Cheyenne, Wyoming. This is a series, and this is the first of the series. It's called The Heart of Cheyenne. And so Cheyenne is a starting booming town. They're building a railroad through that area. He gets a job offer out in that area, and so they end up moving. It's just a perfect situation, you know. So I really enjoyed this book. It talks heavily on the topic of just trusting God and your faith in God, and how that plays out in your relationships, both platonic and romantic, and in your life, and the plans that you saw for yourself or saw for your family. And I really enjoyed that. It definitely allowed me to reflect on my own faith, and just thinking about times when I worry and when I stress out and I'm just like such in the depths of despair, you know. And then it's like you have to almost like take a step back and be like, whoa, if I'm worrying, yes, we're human and we worry, but if I'm spiraling in worry, what does that say about my faith? You know what I mean? If I know that God has come through for me before, time and time and again, what does that say about my faith and my trust in him if at the slightest happenstance of something going wrong or not being what I expected, I just falter and just worry, and you know? So I really enjoyed this book. There's a lot to it. The storyline is really good. Just from the introduction, just from that blurb alone, I was hooked on this book. That's why I picked it up from the library. But I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would give it a solid 3. I do want to read more of the series. However, it's not something I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love this book, like I have to read the series. I would like to read the rest of the series, just because there's a lot of books that I read that are a part of series and I never like fully finished the series. Like the most recent series I finished was the Brown Sisters, which was and actually no, I didn't finish that series yet. I have one more book left, but I intend on finishing that series. But it's Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Well, the first one is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Then you have Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and then you have Actor Age, Eve Brown. I started out reading it from the last book because I didn't realize it was a series when I requested it from the library, and then I ended up reading the second book in the series, and so now I'm waiting on when the first book becomes available from the library. But I say all that to say it was a good book. I like the historical fiction aspect of it. You know, it's based in the 1800s, and like I said, they're starting out the town of Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it's just really cool. The husband, he is basically he's a deputy. I said sheriff, mixing up sheriff and deputy. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. But yeah, he's a deputy, and that's what brought him out into Cheyenne. And so there are some really sad parts. I mean, it starts off sad. It starts off with her finishing up at her father's funeral, and her father died in like a tragic accident. But yeah, I definitely recommend this if you like easy romances, if you like romances based on like in certain old time periods, you know. I definitely recommend this book. It's really cool. So before I read that book, I had finished Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. I really enjoyed this book. This was this is the next book that actually tomorrow is going to be discussed in the book club I'm a part of. I think I mentioned it before, but the only library that I've been going to, but soon to be one of two libraries that I go to. But the area I used to live in, this is the library that I still go to and I'm attached to, and I'm a part of their international book club. And it's called international because every book is from a different area of the world, different time period, what have you. And so this book is based in, not necessarily London, but it's based in England. And it's also based a little bit in France because it's from World War One. And so it's really cool because this book also suits one of the prompts that I have left for the Broader Bookshelf Challenge, which is read a book based about war. And so I really enjoyed this book. There's a very, very smidge of romance, but most of it is the fictional aspect, you know. But the story really comes together very well. The main character is the namesake of the book, Maisie Dobbs, and she was I'm trying to see. Yeah, so this is a part of the blurb. She was a nurse during World War One. She's a very intelligent girl. She came from humble beginnings, and it just goes it goes back and forth in time. So the book starts out as her being an adult. It's after the war, and she's starting out her business. And then the next part of the book goes back in time to when she's a little girl still living with her father. And it goes through that story, and then it leads back up to how she basically when you watch movies where people are an adult and then they flash back in time, and then while they're in that flashback, by the end of that flashback, they're back at present day. Like that flashback incorporated the time that led to that person being who they are now that you saw at the beginning of the movie. So that's basically the structure of this book. It's really nice. It gives me World War One, Sherlock Holmes, Nancy Drew. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. And I like it. How do I explain it? Like, it's fiction with a good amount of mystery, and it's historical fiction, and also with a good amount of romance. And so I was surprised by this book. I feel like it started out kind of slow, but once I was more intentional about reading it and wanting to really get into it and, you know, appreciate it for what it offered and what it has, I really enjoyed this book. Welcome to the raw audio. Sorry if you guys can hear the noise in the background. Obviously I don't have my mic, and I'm pretty sure they're collecting, I don't know, I'm hearing noise, so I think they're collecting recycle. Today's recycled. So anyways, it is Thursday, July 18th. Yes, today is July 18th. This year is flying by. So yeah, that's the good old recycling truck. was I? Yes, it's July 18th. Half of the year has already flown by, and here I am. So last night I was talking to you guys and my phone died, but I was basically just talking about the most recent books I read, which were Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear, and the book I just finished was A Love Discovered by Tracy something. I forgot what her last name is. But now I'm reading Oye, 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 I don't know, by Melissa Mogollon. I don't think it's Mogollon. I'm pretty sure it's like Mogollon. But it's okay so far. I mean, I'm just at the beginning of chapter 2. The writing is kind of throwing me for a loop because I think it's from the perspective of this person is on the phone. Basically as if you're hearing one side of a conversation, like you're listening to two people speak, but one of them is on mute, you know? So yeah, but I mean, I can't really say anything about it so far because I literally only read one chapter. And I know that's what people say to do to kind of get you enticed into a book. I'm glad I didn't read the one chapter in the library and that I read the blurb, because the one chapter, like, I'm just confused, like, you know what I mean? I really needed well, I don't need a new bookmark, but I would like a new bookmark. Does that mean I'm gonna get rid of this one? No, I really love this one. I love mushrooms. I got this from Second and Charles. Is it gonna focus? There you go. Look at it, look at the bumshies. But yeah, I really love mushrooms. I wish it was like laminated over. That's probably something I could have done myself, but I like it. It gives me like vintage foraging vibes. But yeah, this is the book I'm reading now. Today is actually the day of the book club for us to review Maisie Dobbs. Yeah, but before Maisie Dobbs, I read, since it happens to be here, I read The Wedding Date. Oh, I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I really enjoyed this book. It was really sweet, very sexy. And yeah, I think I rated this maybe a 3.5, maybe a 4. I forgot, but I think this is also a series. I don't think it's a connected series. I think it's a standalone series, but I'm pretty sure this is also part of some kind of series. So I really enjoyed this. This is a book that I own. This was the first book that I've read in a while that I own. Lately I've just been getting books from the library just because it's free and I enjoy going to the library. What the heck is that? This huge thing just flew onto the window. What is that? I can't even tell what it is from this angle. It looks massive. What the heck is that? Oh my god. Is that a wasp? Hey guys, so hopefully you can hear me. Let me turn down my lo-fi. Okay, so I'm here. I am currently reading Oye, 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 Oye by Melissa Mogollon. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. When it first started out, I was kind of, I would say, like, just a little bit confused with the way it was organized. So it is from the perspective of Luciana, and she is the younger sister of Mari. I don't know if I can't remember if I ever saw what Mari's full name was. I don't know if it's Marisol or Maribel. I have no clue. But it's Luciana, who they call Nana, and Mari. And then you have their mother, Elena, and then you have their grandmother. Of course they call her Abue, but I forgot what her name is. But yeah, you have Abue, and then you have her sister Luisa, and it's just a whole lot. This book is basically about this family, and you have this granddaughter who, at the beginning of the book, it starts off where there's a hurricane coming and they're trying to get their grandmother to evacuate, and she refuses. But there's also something that's unearthed when they finally do come back to get their grandmother, because she refuses to evacuate. She won't leave with them or anything, and so they end up going on their own trip. Well, just the mom and daughter ends up going on their own trip. It's pretty good, especially what is actually going on in the story, like the dynamic between her and her older sister. Does it say it here? I mean, it does say at the bottom of the blurb that it's unfolding like the most fascinating and entertaining conversation you've ever eavesdropped on. So oh, it literally says it in so clearly I did not read the inside of this. I don't know, maybe when I picked it up I only read the comments from on the back, like people's reviews of it, but it literally says structured as a series of one-sided phone calls. So reading is fundamental. Obviously I'm trying to get there. But yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm really trying to finish this because as of today is the 23rd, and as of today this book is now late. This, along with another book that I've already finished, the other book that I already finished that's to go back to the library, is A Love Discovered. Luckily my library doesn't really do late fees, like as long as you bring back the book, obviously not completely torn apart or anything, as long as you bring back the book in good condition, they'll waive the late fee. But yeah, so I'm on a journey of not DNFing books this year, and so I really want to finish this book before I give it back. My goal is to be able to finish it today. I don't know how long that's going to take me, and being able to go to the library, because it is my favorite library that's like 30 minutes away on the other side of town. So I'm debating whether or not that if I do go, if I want to bring baby boy with me. I don't know, I think it could be fun. So yeah, that's what's going on now. And I'm actually reading this along with, so this is the physical book I'm reading, because I'm trying to take a page out of Shaughnessy Schroeder's book. If you don't follow her, she's an amazing YouTuber. She's a Black booktuber. That is not necessarily her day job. She is more of an influencer on Instagram and TikTok, and does a lot of like self-help, self-love, self-confidence, navigating your 20s and 30s. Like that is really more so her niche when it comes to Instagram. However, on YouTube she's a booktuber, but she also shares snippets of her life, and yeah, she's really cool. And she typically reads 3 books at one time, and I'm pretty sure she said before, like sometimes they're all physical books, sometimes she may be reading a Kindle book and a physical book. But what I'm doing now is I'm attempting to read 3 books at one time, but I feel what's most helpful for me to be able to keep up with these 3 books is that they're all different mediums. So I'm reading Oye as my physical book, then as my digital, as the book that I'm reading on my Kindle, it is The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco by Talia Hibbert. And then I'm also listening to an audiobook, which is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by, I totally forgot who that author is, but it's Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry, and that has been on my TBR for the longest. So fun fact, that is a book that I will be writing down on my Broader Bookshelf Challenge sheet, because one of the prompts is read a book that's been on your TBR list forever. And obviously forever is relative, but when I look at when I added that book, it was in June of last year, and that's one of the earlier times that I added it to my want to read section within Goodreads. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying that book. Like, I crave having that book physically, because when I'm listening to it, sometimes I just wish I could like really like delve into it. And yeah, but I'm enjoying listening to it. The name of the narrator is Jordan something. I forgot their last name, but they do pretty well. It like makes it easier to really like picture how people are feeling and what their motives are when you hear it in a voice that's not monotone, because her voice is definitely not monotone. She makes sure that she inflects it for different characters and what have you, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's how I'm keeping up with reading these 3 books at one time. And also, I'm pretty sure the shortest book I'm reading is The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco, and so I've been eating that up on my Kindle. Like, sometimes I have to like put it down and be like, okay, let's move on to a different book. But I feel like over the past couple of days, at least over the past 48 hours, I've more so been listening to the audiobook for excuse me while I ugly cry, just because I've been doing a lot of driving, and then there's times where I'm tired and I like literally don't feel like holding up a book or anything like that, and I'm just like chilling laying down on the floor or something. And so the audiobook, it definitely comes in handy. And then also a lot of it comes with my mood. Like, if I just feel like listening to a different story, or delving into a different story, I should say, then I'll switch to a different book, which ends up being a different medium. Or if I'm eating, and obviously for me, when eating, it's easier to either listen to something or just tap a screen, which would be my Kindle. So I've been enjoying doing that. I will say that in terms of trying to get through my stack of library books, it does make it a little bit more difficult, because obviously I would only be reading one physical book at a time. But I think I do want to keep trying to practice, if you will, with reading 3 books at one time, or at least reading 2 books at one time. But I think, like I said, for me personally, it really does help having it in the form of different mediums. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling, because I really do want to try to finish this book, even if I can only get to the library to drop it in the bin outside. Even if it's closed, I really do want to finish this book. I don't like going to the library more than once within a short amount of time, because one, it's on the other side of town, and also I like to make it a one-stop shop. So if I'm dropping off books and picking up books, I like it to be a one and done thing. And so the reason I say that is because I have to return not only these 2 books that are in circulation, but also the book for the book club, and pick up my new book club book. And I like to do that when the lady that's the head of the book club, I like to do that when she's there. It's not necessary, but I think it makes it more seamless. And also I get to say hi to her and greet her, and she asks me about the book, and it's just always nice to have like a little conversation with her. And it's also nice to just, I don't know, just have that routine, like, oh, I'm going to see her today, I'm going to switch out my books. And then oftentimes, so it's not always that I'm ready to return all my books when I go to pick up another book, or vice versa. However, I usually make sure that I have some books that I've finished, or at least the books that are due. And then, yeah, sometimes I'll have a book on hold, or whatever have you. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. That's probably the 3rd or 4th or 5th time that I've said it already. And I'm just going to continue diving into Oi! I'm just like really irritated by Luciana's family. Abwe is one thing. She's an older lady. She's gone through a lot as a child. She's gone through a lot as an adult, and you can really see that she struggles with a lot of demons, like whether it be based on her image, be based on how she treats her family, or whatever. Abwe is definitely a case in and of itself. However, when you see Elena, who is Luciana's and Mari's mom, and then Mari, and then their father as well, like, they just irk me, and everything falls onto Luciana, and people ignore her, and the things that she talks about that they ignore end up coming to fruition, and then she's the one that has to clean it all up. And it's just a lot of skeletons coming out of the closet with their family. And and from the beginning, Mari, his sister, has been showing her true colors. And like, it's just, I don't know, it's a double-edged thing, because on one hand you can kind of try to understand where Mari is coming from and what fears or insecurities or whatever have you may be keeping her from really being a part of her family. However, I feel like there needs to be a balance. Like, yes, you're becoming an adult and you have other priorities like school and the opportunities that brings and what you're going to do afterwards and this, that, and the third. However, I feel like specifically for when you have a good family that has always supported you and treated you right, like, no family is perfect, but if you have a family that has always been there, you need to be there in some shape, form, or fashion. So calling one time, no. Continuing to cancel and make excuses for not being able to come home, no. You know what I mean? And I think, of course, it's easier said than done, because I don't know the full story behind Mari and why she is the way she is. And also, I think as a reader with this story, you're biased because all of it is from Luciana's point of view. Every now and then pretty often you'll get sprinkles of what other people are actually saying to her, but most of it is her relaying information and responding to information. So you really get it from her mindset and her way of thinking. But yeah, just whether it's just her point of view, or I don't think it's just her point of view with the way people are acting, because you see it when you get the snippets of, her recalling dialogue with other people and you see exactly the words they're saying. For me, it just makes me highly, highly pissed off at her family. Her dad is like super avoidant, and that really irks me. Her mom is controlling, is not understanding, is her mom is a lot. When it comes to Luciana's body image, her sexuality, her overall pretty much fear for where she sees her life is going, her mom is just so misunderstanding to all of that. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on how I'm feeling so far. I don't think I've gotten that much farther from the last time we spoke. I'm just starting chapter 10. Oh, like this part here alone. So this is from Elena. This is their mom saying this, and so I don't think it'll give too much away, because I mean the book already tells you that the grandmother has like a health scare or whatever. But do not guilt Mari with the diagnosis, Luciana. You don't get to do that. Everyone deals with things differently, and her delaying coming home for one more month isn't going to fix anything. It's good that your grandmother has this space before more people know. It's just, she's done that time and time again, like continuing to defend Mari. And on one hand, it's like you do want to have a mom that's going to be understanding, and on the other hand, it's like, would she be this understanding if Luciana wasn't in the picture? I feel like she's just using it. Because she has Luciana, she can put all that she's really feeling onto Luciana and excusing Mari, you know what I mean? And Mari is the oldest child, and so it's interesting when you think about the flip-flop, right? Like, some people will say, oh, it always falls onto the youngest sibling because they're the last to leave home, and so the responsibility of the family lies on them. And other people will say, no, the oldest is supposed to come back home and help out the family. And so it's just really interesting seeing this dynamic, and it just irks me. And that passage may or may not give you a good idea of just how dismissive, yet controlling, yet ignorant, yet know-it-all that their mom is. Like, it's just very flip-floppy. Like, she's always contradicting herself and constantly, Luciana is not dumb. Like, she'll constantly bring up like, yeah, that's what I said weeks ago, or I've been trying to tell you guys that this is not a good idea, and this and that and the third. And even when their mom is caught, like, you know, when she, you know, when whatever she's doing is like thrown back in her face, like, you know, in the terms, how am I trying to say this? Like, if Luciana has been trying to tell her something and she's been ignoring it, and then it comes to fruition, even when she knows she's in the wrong, she'd be like, well, what difference does it make now? Or it is what it is. Like, she'll just be very dismissive about it instead of, you know, being like, yeah, you were right, I'm sorry, or whatever. And then for things that Luciana has known the entire time, she'll bring it up to her and be like, I know you're sad, but we just got to do this, that, and the third. And Luciana's like, I've been sad because I've been told you that this was going to happen. Like, I'm the one that's been doing the research and printing out pages. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just really frustrating. Like, there's nothing like being ignored by your own family, no less, and them just not taking you seriously. Like, no matter what you complain about, even in the beginning of the story, like Luciana explaining just her fears around being in high school and what comes after high school, like having to apply to colleges and thinking about what she wants to do with her life, and just the whole aspect of like her becoming an adult. And it's like nobody's taking her seriously, and it starts off with a lot of like, oh, why can't you be like your sister? And it's really all coming from her mom. Like, you don't really get that from her dad, but that's because her dad is avoidant. Like, anytime he has to talk to anybody about anything difficult, it's like he's like a child, like, that needs to be carried the whole way, and it's like panicking and freaking out. Like, he had to, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a really simple thing. He had to watch their grandmother for a certain period of time while Luciana and her mom went to go do something else, and they weren't even gone for like 30 minutes, and he's like blowing up Luciana's phone saying, hey, did you guys hit traffic? Are you okay? She's not opening doors, she's not answering me, are you okay? Mind you, yes, they're worried about the grandmother, but the grandmother is not in like a life or death situation at this point in the story. Like at that specific moment, like, she was safe, she was just in the bedroom, didn't want to deal with anybody, and she had the door locked, but it's not like there was anything in there for her to harm herself. Like, that wasn't a concern. He just like panics and then avoids, like, because as soon as they came back, he was like, hey, how you doing? I'm just gonna take a drive. Like, I just don't know if he just doesn't do well under pressure, or he just doesn't want responsibility, or it's like the only thing, it's like, as long as he's keeping the family farm running, that's all that he can handle. It's like anything else and he just combusts. And that is so frustrating, especially as somebody that, life is not easy, right? And I'm somebody that has had to work under pressure more times than not, you know? And so, and not saying that I'm perfect, not saying that there aren't times where I like break down and cry or scream or whatever. However, at the end of the day, I know whatever needs to get done needs to get done. Like, I know I got to do something. So I'm not going to panic and let myself get overwhelmed to the point of not functioning, not performing, you know? And so it's just really interesting when you look at somebody that is supposed to be, in a way, the head of the household, and he definitely has like shirked that responsibility off to somebody else. So yeah.